Let's talk now about setting goals. Of all the things that really helped transform my life, when I was 25 years old, met my mentor, that original mentor, Mr. Earl Schoaf. Goal setting really did wonders for me. The subject came up when Mr. Schoaf said to me, Mr. Rohn, let me see your current list of goals. And he said, let's go over them. He said, I've got some experience, and let's talk about it. Maybe I can give you some help. And I said to him, I don't have a list. He said, wow. If you don't have a list of your goals, he said, I can probably guess your bank account within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. So here was my response. You mean to tell me if I had a list of my goals, it would make a difference in my bank account? He said, a drastic difference. So that got my attention. I thought, well, I've got to learn how to set goals. And when I learned it, it changed my life forever. Now I've been teaching it now all these years, trying to help people get a better vision of the future. Okay, so make this note. The future's where we're going. You know, the past is where we've been, present is where we are, and the future is where we're going. And if we can capture this moment in time from our past to now, and then from now to a future more well-designed, with better objectives and better purpose for ourselves, our family, our business, our investments, everything else, then this moment in time will have become extremely valuable. So let me give you first what really affects us all. Number one, we're affected by the environment in which we live. We're affected by the physical environment. I was challenged way back in those early days, why not make the environment better everywhere you go? I learned, Mama taught, you know, turn off the lights when you check out of your hotel and you leave the room. Before you leave, turn out the lights. And I thought, why do that? And here's what she said, to make a contribution that's so easy. Wow. And if you could make a contribution that is so easy, that didn't cost you any money, and didn't cost you any time, you know, didn't cost you a piece of your life, why not make the contribution that's easy? Because if everybody did it, think of how much we would conserve. Someone says, well, yes, but the hotel benefits if you turn out all the lights. And here's the answer that sophisticated people always have. Who cares who benefits? If it benefits the hotel and if everybody did it, probably the cost of the hotel room would come down. So every benefit you can give, every benefit you can share, because here's what happens. If you learn to give, you will what? Receive. Maybe not in the manner in which you gave, maybe not in like kind. Someone will save energy for you because you saved energy for them. But in some mysterious ways, it always comes back to us. If you give, you will receive. In fact, here's what it says, that for the uneducated is a little bit strange. It says it's better to give than it is to receive. Now see, if you didn't understand, you would say, that doesn't quite make sense. Surely it would be better to receive than to give, and the answer is no. It is much better to give than to receive. And here's why. It's what we call having intelligent self-interest. Nothing wrong with self-interest as long as you do it the intelligent way. Here's the key. Giving, it's better to give than it is to receive because giving starts the receiving process. So to act intelligently in your own self-interest, which is good, it's much better to give than it is to receive. Because if all you do is receive, that may be very limited. But if you give, and giving starts the receiving process coming your way from unknown resources and from unknown places. Back it comes around to you because you became a giver. That's one of the unique mysteries of life. We give to receive, and it's better to give than it is to receive. So that's what Mama said. Turn out the lights, make a contribution. Why not make the easy ones? Here's what else. We talked about it at our lunch break today to those who were there. It raises your self-esteem, plus your self-respect, that you do things that the average person doesn't do. Maybe if they were taught, they would. Maybe if somebody mentioned it, they would. But it's easy for most everybody to just go on their way, and if they're not interrupted by a good idea that says, hey, it's so easy to make a contribution, this one would be easy. Turn out the lights when you leave the hotel room and make a contribution. That's interesting. Next is the phrase, in terms of environment, always leave something better than you found it. I talked to a man one time who rented out a long list of apartments. And he said, Mr. Rohn, you wouldn't believe it, but when somebody rents an apartment, they usually leave it worse than when they rented it. I said, you've got to be kidding. He said, no. A high percentage of people leave it trashed. If they stay 6 months or stay 1 year, they leave it trashed. Not just not better, but trashed. I said, that's impossible. Why would anyone do that? Mama said to me, no, leave it what? Better than you found it. See, that's just a commitment to your own self-esteem. And why not do it if it makes a contribution to your self-esteem? It's called intelligent self-interest. Intelligent self-interest. Self-interest says, I wish to be ruler over many. And intelligent self-interest says, I understand how to do that. Be faithful when the amounts are small. If you'll take care of the few, we will someday give you a position of very high importance over many. But if you don't be disciplined when the amounts are small, why would we trust you when the amounts are large? Brian mentioned that earlier. Why would life give you a fortune to manage if you couldn't manage the gifts of a few? Interesting philosophy to consider, okay? Your own self-interest. Leave the contribution. I'm even aware of it when I leave a restaurant and I get me a toothpick, right? And you take off the little cellophane off the toothpick. It's easy to throw it by the cash register, right, or somewhere where it looks like other people have done the same. Mama said, put it in your pocket. Somebody says, wow, a little piece of cellophane, what difference does it make? It doesn't make that much difference, only in your self-respect. Take your trash home and deposit it. How much does it cost to clean up the trash on the highways in America? Mega, mega, mega millions. Wouldn't people take home their own trash and deposit it there rather than scatter it on the highways across America? And the answer is most people do not. It's so easy to throw it out the window. But now, add this, it's so easy to keep it in your car and have a few more points in your favor on self-esteem, feeling good about yourself, doing things that most people don't do. If everybody did it, what a different country we would have. But it doesn't really matter. You say, well, if everybody's going to do it, why shouldn't I do it? And the answer is for your own dignity and for your own self-esteem. You do things that most other people allow themselves to do that you don't do. And so when I talk about the environment, now we're affected by the political environment and the social environment, and we're affected by the economy environment.
One day, and I out-power by my instructor. I'm feeling really proud. The next day, I'm not feeling so proud. I keep putting the ball in the water again. I'm so frustrated. Put down another one. Put down another one. I don't care. I don't care what my score is. Let's do it. And finally I was getting frustrated. He's going things like, ain't it a bitch? This is golf. And I'm going, bull. I said, you're a terrible instructor. I said, because I should at least be consistent at whatever shitty level I can achieve. I said, I know I'm not Tiger Woods, but I should be able to be consistent, and you're just telling me it's difficult. Telling me it's difficult is not helping. Tell me what to do. He said, well, actually, you're only a little bit off. I said, could have fooled me. He said, no, you're about a millimeter or two off. I said, you're joking. He said, no, watch this. He said, I didn't teach you this yet. He said, when you approach the ball like this, he said, if you change the angle that you're attacking this just 1 or 2 millimeters, in the very beginning, do you see how that changes the arc? This one, instead of being on the green by 1 millimeter, now you're in the water. 1 millimeter over here, you're in the sand. He said, and also you're hitting the ground by 1 millimeter sometimes. You're not stroking it, just 1 millimeter. I thought, what a great belief system that when all hell's breaking loose and nothing's working, that you're only 1 millimeter off. Because most people think it's impossible, so they give up. Isn't that true? And in real life, it's true. So 2 days later, I'm going to see one of my clients. I do a lot of coaching, and I have a man who's the top plastic surgeon in the world. He's going through some tough times in aspects of his life. But this is a guy that gets paid by Sultan of Brunei $1 million to fly over and do 3 people's faces. He is the #1 plastic surgeon in the world. He can make anyone who's ugly look spectacularly beautiful. He showed me pictures of a woman who's 84 years old. He made her look 40 and gorgeous, no exaggeration. But you know what? I'm waiting for him in his office, and he's still in surgery. So he's got a new book he's creating to teach other surgeons around the world. And I'm going through it, and it's got pictures of, the top 100 supposedly most beautiful women in the world's faces. And then men. I wasn't paying attention to that one. I just kept turning the pages, right? But I noticed something. He's got all these measurements. And he has mathematically calculated what it takes to make someone look gorgeous, man or woman. And it's a few millimeters. Interesting. For example, on a woman, the distance between the top part of your lip and your nose, this little distance, the measurement of that, if you're beautiful, gorgeous, is the same size as your eye. If it's 1 millimeter more, you have an average face. If it's 2 millimeters more, you are butt ugly. Okay. The difference between butt ugly and gorgeous is 2 millimeters. He's got about a dozen of these little 1 or 2 millimeter changes he makes, and it's a different person. It is unbelievable. So a very powerful belief to leave today with would be, nothing's working, I'm 1 millimeter away. What little thing going to change? And when I do, it changes everything. Because I'm heading this direction, I make this little shift. You take that out an hour from now, a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, you have a totally different destination from that direction. But the 1 millimeter change, I'll show you one of them right now. Check this out. Stay in the state of certainty. Some of you lost it. Intensify it, whatever it takes. Make your move. Come on. Make your move. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Now feel that in your body. Don't let go of it. Now watch. Here's the difference between being certain and being uncertain. Did you see that? Certain, uncertain. See if you can find that little spot between the two, where you drop just a little bit of your chest, and you feel it drop, and come back up. And drop it. How many can feel that difference between where you really feel it? Now intensify it, and where you dropped it. Is it a tiny difference, yes or no? Yes or no? Now, could you condition yourself to feel great in this state? Yes or no? So what I want you to do is give yourself that opportunity. So the way we're going to do is very simple. We're going to go into peak state. And then we're going to train ourselves. Because guess what? If you're in this state of certainty, and all hell's breaking loose in your life, people can't figure out, you go, move, I'll handle it. People go, he's so lucky, he's so confident. No, here's what I've created for my life, and anyone I know succeeded. I'm a 17-year-old kid from Azusa, California, with no real education other than self-education, with no background, with parents that did their best, all of them, with no money, but I did one thing. I love people, and I had an enormous demand I made upon myself, and I sculpted my mind and my emotions to get me to do whatever it would take to achieve and to contribute. But to do that, I did it by using my body and changing my focus. I did it by putting myself in a peak physiology and using what I call incantations. Can you train yourself to believe something, yes or no? Absolutely. How many have ever made the fatal mistake of going to Disneyland or Disney World, and while you're there made the fatal mistake of going to a ride called It's a Small World After All? What happens for about a week after you're out of that damn place? You're still singing this thing in your head in 24 languages, right? Well, let me tell you something. How many of you have things when you want to go achieve them and this part of your voice goes, oh, it's not going to happen, or forget it? How many got a voice that sometimes interrupts that good pattern? Say I. And what you want to do is train a new one. So starting when I was 17, I started doing incantations, not affirmations. Affirmation, you go, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. What's the problem? You haven't changed your what? Your what? Physiology. If you don't change your physiology, you won't get anything. So an incantation is not only you speak it, but you embody what you're saying with all the intensity you can. And you do it with enough repetitions that it sticks in your head. Like It's a Small World, now the conversation in your head is always the same and it gives you what you want. So you use your body and your voice. So 17 years ago I started doing things. I was working for Jim Rohn, this speaker, and I was 17 years old. I had long hair, minestrone soup, acne on my face. And I was trying to call on Bear Stearns type of people and convince them why they should go to this man's seminar and be more successful. I was driving a 1968 Volkswagen that I had earned at $40 a week as a janitor. The only way I did it was park far from the building and then go in, and I love people, and I believe when I put myself in state, and I was able to influence people that were far more successful than I was at the time. I would do something that I still do backstage and have done for 23 years. Because I don't hope I'm going to be in a good state, I demand it. So I do an incantation using my whole body. I'd say, I now command my subconscious mind to direct me in helping as many people as possible in life today to better their lives by giving me the strength, the emotion, the persuasion, the humor, the brevity, whatever it takes to show these people and get these people to change their lives now. And I would do that literally driving in my Volkswagen to a meeting in LA on the freeway for 40 minutes. People are looking at me, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. They're going, I know he's a serial killer, I know he is. But by the time I entered that room, when two people meet, if there's rapport, the person who's most certain will always influence the other person. And I was totally certain, and they were trying to get revved up to certainty. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? I do another one because I was poor. I changed my mindset. I kept doing things, but I never got beyond it. I'd say God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence, for I'm one with God and God is everything. And I would imagine the abundance of my life, and I would feel so grateful. And a year later, I went from making $38,000 a year to making $1 million a year in 1 year. But successful people do what failures won't. You follow me on this? You know?